Welcome back to ASUG News. My name is Tom Whalegum. I'm the editorial director of ASUGnews.com. We're in the ASUG News studio, and we've got two great guests here. We're already having a lot of fun. I hope we continue the great discussions. Of course, we all know Bridgette Chambers, CEO of ASUG.
Good to see you, Tom.
Good to see you again. Thank you. And Steve Lucas from SAP, the global GM of Business Analytics and Technology. Thanks, Steve, for stopping by. Both of you did great keynotes this morning, really got everyone buzzing this morning. Steve was already buzzing from his energy drink.
No pun intended.
Right. But what happened yesterday, I think, is interesting to a lot of our viewers, and the concept of ASUG influence and the relationship that is between SAP and ASUG. And I know this is important to you, and obviously very important to you. So, Steve, when you look back at last year for the first Influencer Summit that happened, there were a lot of good things that came out of that, a lot of things that maybe opened your guys' eyes. What does this type of thing mean to SAP when you look at roadmaps and think about how you're developing software? Where does this relationship fit in and fit into SAP?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, when I got to really get to know Bridgette really well last year, especially with the Influencer Summit.
When I gave you fair warning?
That's right, you
Yes.
did. You gave me a heads up. The reality is that, I believe we have to be a customer-driven organization. But we've got priorities at SAP. I mean, we have we have very large, very small competitors. We've got different trends and things that we want to innovate on. But at the end of the day, if our customers aren't happy and successful with the software that we're making and producing, the solutions that we're providing, it really doesn't matter. So to be here at ASUG with our customers, these members of ASUG that are really sharing and supporting each other, sharing with and supporting each other, it had a big impact on me last year. It really did. And it's been something that, I've kind of, especially over the last year, learned that if I really want to get connected with my own customers, a great place to be is right here.
And yet you go in there and you hear the unvarnished truth. I mean, you hear it straight.
Yes.
Is that something that SAP wants to hear? You want that level of honesty?
Well, we do. I mean, the reality is that the new SAP, to kind of, overuse that phrase, is we do. We want to hear from our customers. We really mean it when we say we want to be customer driven. So we've made these kind of events a very, very big priority for us. We put a lot of effort into it, as does ASUG, of course. But at the end of the day, we want the unvarnished, unpainted truth.
And that's what ASUG volunteers and influencers can deliver, right, Bridgette? I mean,
They don't hold back.
They don't hold back, because
No,
we
they
know.
They don't. Which is good.
Right.
That's what we all need to hear, so that we can together work on making some improvements.
So the relationship, as far as you see it with ASUG and SAP, when it comes to the influencer program, what sorts of things do you want to make sure keeps happening now and in the future to keep the dialogue up?
Sure. Well, first I want to say it's never been better. Steve, Sanjay, Bill, Jim, the entire executive team have been absolutely spectacular about committing to listening and then executing on agreed opportunities for either improvement or dialogue or whatever the matter is. And they've also been fantastic about outreach. They've reached out to us for opportunities that we might have been unaware of before. They give us advanced information so that we can plan education opportunities for members so that they can be smarter and better when releases come out. So before we think about the future, I want to first say thank you so much for the improvement that we've had thus far. But when I think about the future, the business objects community is such a great opportunity for us to create customer value, but it's also a great place for us to learn, because there are going to be other acquisitions. There'll be other opportunities to bring in a group of customers that need to better understand the value associated with SAP, and it's a great opportunity for SAP to learn about the value of the existing acquisition that they brought in, so that synergistic opportunities really can come alive rather than just being part of the previous conversation.
Right. Well, there were 4 things that came out of last year that we focused on: education, integration, maintenance support, and roadmaps, as well as we had another one this year.
Upgrades.
Upgrades.
That's right.
Steve, how do those things get translated into actionable items, if they do at all, at SAP when they come up with these 4 or 5 different things? What happens there?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, some of them are very visual and apparent. If you take a look at the feedback we received on roadmaps, for example, SAP has a BI blog, in addition to the information we provide on the ASUG site or share with ASUG, where we produce roadmaps. So we have roadmap information out there. Now, we can always do a better job. I am a firm believer in transparency. There's no reason we have nothing to hide. There's nothing but great information to share with our customers. So I want to be less restrictive in terms of the roadmap information we have. And I think on the BI blog, we've done a great job of sharing a lot of that information. So that's actionable, it's there, it's visual, it's apparent. There are other things like feedback on maintenance, for example, or we get feedback all the time around our support network and how Business Objects Classic customers want to work with that versus SAP Classic customers. And we incorporate a lot of that into the design thinking of future kind of models. It may not be as apparent, but we are listening. So all of those topics incredibly important. We understand the import of every single one of them. And certainly from my perspective, I think the word of the day is just transparency from SAP.
Great. ASUG influence. You talk about that a lot. We hear about that a lot. We've had ASUG volunteers, strategic SID chairs up here talking about all that they give. I mean, that's so special to have. I mean, you probably recognize this too. When I was new to ASUG, people doing their day jobs, but also working the weekends to interact with their peers. I mean, that's pretty special to have that. How are you going to keep that going even more? Because it's a lot for people to do, and yet they'll all say, oh, I get so much out of it.
Absolutely. Well, number one, we've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
This is our 20-year anniversary. And I think along the way, we've found some exciting ways to keep the excitement high, to stay organized and together. And influence, in addition to the other great core programs that we offer, is really the differentiator. There are a lot of fantastic organizations out there that we partner with and that we see in the ecosystem that can provide great content, great educational opportunities, great networking opportunities. But at the end of the day, you can't really create a dialogue with SAP that is accountable and consistent and sustainable as you can with ASUG. So the influence component is just tremendous. And I have to say, hats off to our volunteers because they do work long hours. And they just provide so much value back to SAP, back to their organizations and to their peers. And it's really what makes our organization run. We have 100,000 members, and about 2,500 of those individuals volunteer, and about 500 of those volunteers are what we would consider to be evangelists. And they are working with us every week and often every day on different initiatives. It's a highly engaged community. I'm very proud of it.
Amazing. I mean, is it amazing SAP? I mean, you guys sit back and think, wow, not only are customers, paying us money and everything, but they're also helping us. And I mean, it's kind of sorry to use win-win, but it's huge. It must be huge for SAP.
Well, it is. I mean, people want to be successful. That's the bottom line, and they want to be part of a community, and that's really, in a lot of respects, what ASUG provides. And I think the growth is just reflective of there's a community atmosphere. And when you have a community atmosphere, you get people helping, you get people interested in contributing. We need to continue to feed that, to continue to partner closely with ASUG, and certainly, not do anything but contribute to it. I think is where we want to focus. But I got to tell you, I'm thrilled. I was on the show floor earlier today, and it was literally a buzz. You read all these newspaper articles about economic concern this and economy that. I got to tell you, this was a lot of excited people, a lot of ideas, and I don't see any of that downturn you're reading about or potential downturn in the paper. It's just a lot of excited people talking about how they can help each other and what solutions they can build.
It's great.
And if I could just add in, you said something this morning in your keynote that I just loved. There was a reference to companies can't get away from their community. And I've never believed that SAP tried to do that, but I will tell you, embracing your community does a number of things. Key to that is it keeps your customers engaged and working productively with you. In our world today, customers are so social. It just takes one missed opportunity to destroy a brand that perhaps has delivered on years of promises and commitments. So it's a pleasure for us to work with a company that wants to understand how to take care proactively of opportunities for either improvement or growth or innovation or what have you. So it's just a real recipe for success.
And also, though, not to be Debbie Downer, but we also, we are separate organizations, so we do have to maintain that independence. That's something you think about, balancing that? Like, yes, we need good relationships, but also we are separate organizations.
Yeah, I actually haven't had this question in a little while, but I will say two and a half years ago when I first came on board, I got this a lot. People wanted to know if we were too close to SAP. And I tell you, I think that was a messaging issue. I think that our customers, SAP's customers as well, just didn't fully understand the value of a close strategic partnership. I'm not sure how we could offer value to SAP if we didn't understand not only what could make them strong in the marketplace, but what makes them vulnerable. And so having that close relationship where we can come in and say, you know what, you guys, you really got some wood on the ball with this one, or alternatively, hey, here's some constructive feedback on what we need to work on. Being able to play that back and forth is really, I think, the thing that makes us a great partner. And the metrics, the output of that, you see in our influence programs. You see with the agent series that we did when enterprise support was a big topic. You see this with the Influencer Summit and the activities of the influencers now for the past 12 months that we just published in a white paper. This is where the rubber meets the road, but it starts by having enough trust between two organizations that this conversation can take place in a meaningful way.
Yep, absolutely. I know there's one other thing you wanted to mention, the membership announcement that was made this morning.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'm very excited that we've extended the value ship offer. We mentioned that in May of 2010, we launched our value ship and we offered 18 months of membership. We did this in collaboration with SAP. SAP invested in bringing in customers to the fold, and we're extending it through the end of 2012. We're doing this for a number of key reasons, primarily because we have a new website that's going to be launched at the end of the year, and I sincerely believe, with a great deal of confidence, that there's a tremendous amount of value creation and a gateway to new opportunities for customers to get involved, stay involved, and add value with one another, and for SAP to increase their dialogue with them. So we don't want any customers to miss out, and we're very excited to have them for another year.
Great. Well, Steve, Bridgette, thank you very much for being on. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Up next is Courtney, and she'll be having a customer chat with 3M's Mike Lovell. So come on back in about 15 minutes. Thank you. Wonderful, guys. Thank you very much.
It's good.
Great job.